Well, here we go. Episode, is this 4 now? We got a week left of spring training, March 27th. Clayton McCullough with us now, Steven Strom, Jack McMullen. I guess we're big time now. We have some cameras. Jason Vinlove, Julio, the entire crew are setting us up here. So I guess this show's doing well, so thank you. Number one, thank you very much.
That's great, yes. We're moving forward, huh?
We are moving forward. And I was talking to Jack before this. We always ask you about the players. We always ask you about the team, but we never ask you about you. Skeens was announced yesterday. We're recording on Sunday. Not sure when this is coming out, but you got Skeens, Sandy, just as a manager with a week left of spring training. How are you feeling? What are you feeling at right now?
Feeling great, like the season being a week away. In some ways, it's kind of hard to believe. On one hand, it feels like we've been here for a very long time, and on the other hand, it's like, holy cow, in a week, like this thing starts. So, Sandy, Paul Skeens matchup opening day. I think it's great for baseball, and it'll be great for our fans to come out on opening day. It should be it'd be exciting for everyone. But as a baseball fan, you look at that like those are two premier pitchers in our sport, and then going head to head on opening day. That's what it's these guys about how competitive the big leagues is, and right away this is what it's going to be about, and to beat pitchers like Paul Skeens is what what you have to do to get yourselves into postseason. That's who you face is the top guys. So it'll be a great test for our guys right away.
Are you going to put a child lock on the traject machine? It's like, okay, no facing Skeens until 3 days before. Let's focus on Sonny Gray today. Let's focus on other guys.
Yeah, Sonny Gray today. But there'll be, I'm sure, the conversations now and the planning on
start
Paul,
to pick up
and they'll start to and start to probably do some diligence and some guys getting some as many reps as they can on Paul leading up to opening day.
Gotcha.
Where do we want to start here? I do want to start with this, actually. Strom's all spring training team. Okay, I want to get your thoughts on this.
All right.
Number 1, Connor Gillespie. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So far, so good. Number 2, Joe Mack. Number 3, Conine and Mervis against lefties. Number 4, the Weathers-Myers combo. I told you 5, but these are just duos. And then 5, the baseball traditionalists, because we've played 7 3-hour games. What's your take on my any names or mentions that stick out?
Love your list. The lefty, the Conine Mervis versus left.
Good pickup by me.
Yes, good pickup. And I don't think I've ever seen this many left-handed pitchers.
It's unbelievable.
It's guys facing. We were joking with Stowers yesterday too. He goes over. He's hitting leadoff, and we've seen Framber a few times, right? And then I think he had 5 at bats, and they were all versus left yesterday.
He got Hader too.
Yeah,
right?
he got Hader.
Yeah, Brian King. Yeah.
Sosa maybe. So it was like they just kept rolling him out and looking at what, and he's hung in there well, and so have Griff and Matt. In a lot of ways, it's a good thing, right? I mean, facing some left-handed pitching. Force you to hang in there some, have your approach be very middle of the field, staying on ball, especially you're getting a lot of spin moving away. I'm sure love to for them to get some plate appearances versus right, but I think in some ways you use it, and they have as this is just good for me to be able to get my front side locked in, stay through the middle of the field, stay on some balls, which in a lot of ways spring training is a big part about. You mentioned Joe Mack. He was great. I mean, both sides. Catching something offensively, there's some aggression in there. There's some looseness in his swing. The ball jumps off his bat. Ability to drive it to both gaps. He hung in well against lefty. So Joe was had a very impressive camp and it looks like a bright future.
Another guy that's first team All-Steven was Connor Gillespie, and this guy has jumped out. 4 no-hit innings last time out. He's had 8 no-hit on the spring, and this is a guy that was claimed from Atlanta, and maybe you went in with this blank slate, but obviously the fastball specs are really unique. This guy's getting a ton of vertical break, and that it seems like horizontally it kind of fits in this window, so it really is that takeoff. Aside from the fastball, what have you seen from a guy like Connor Gillespie to show you, hey, this guy can fill out a bulk role in our bullpen or maybe even start a game if you need it?
Yeah, I think one, the strike throwing ability with multiple pitches. I think, he's got, many of our pitchers in camp this year have, expanded their arsenal and repertoire, and he's got a quality breaking ball that he can land, early in counts. And then, you have you said he has the fastball and the characteristics on that fastball, and it's nice. It's been, especially when it's playing in the 92 mile per hour range, and with the type of vert he gets on there to miss some bats late, at the top. after he slowed him down, and then also ability you get some foul balls out of that too. So the way that fastball plays, and then him with the ability to strike with some secondaries early in count. He's a bulldog. I think seeing this guy is, there's no fear. He's on the attack. I think he's got a ton of confidence in where he's at right now in his arsenal. I think we've seen that when he goes out there. It's like foot's down on the gas, and it's in attack mode from pitch one. Great competitor. So, yeah, Connor's had a terrific spring, and you said he's weaponized himself very well.
What you got in the notebook? You got anything good?
No, I did want to stick on the arms. What can you tell us about Edward Cabrera as of right now?
Yeah, so he had the blister flare up on him again the other day, unfortunately, and then went in and got some of the nail taken out, which hopefully we feel like getting that nail taken out there, let it now properly heal. Hopefully that will mitigate some of the blister issues that he's had here for the last 10 days ago. Then he started in that Boston start on the road. Felt okay, but then going out there the other day, just reacted again. So felt like it was time to go in there and do a little more investigating, and hopefully this will help alleviate some of the pain he was having. Yep. Take a couple days of probably no throwing just to give the area a chance to heal and some of the tenderness to get out. We'll get him back throwing in the next day or two, which doesn't put him too far off track.
Do you expect him to miss a couple, maybe a start before on for the regular season?
Yeah, well, regular season still be determined.
Okay.
I think we'll still believe that we'll be able to get Edward back on the mound throwing to hitters.
Great.
Now closer to the end of camp, just with the timing of this to give it some time to heal, and him having to take some days off from throwing.
Staying on the starting pitching front, we saw Sandy go 4 innings of 47 pitches, rolled a couple of inning double play balls. That looked like Sandy. So in terms of boxes you need to see checked from the ace and the opening day starter, is there anything other than we got to see him get up for a 5th time in spring training?
I think that's really it right now. I think Sandy, the velocity it's been there from day one, and only 48 pitches in 4 innings is fantastic, but I think he was still upper 90s at the end of that. So now that he's gone through some mountains where you get fatigued a little bit, but he's holding his velocity. So I think right now with Sandy, it is full steam ahead. Get to the 5 ups, the pitch count get increased next time, and I think that's right now probably the really only thing he's got left to do here in this camp to feel good about the season starting.
Sandy is a man of all moments, and his leadership is more lead by my work and look how I work. But from a positional standpoint, with such a young group, have you seen anyone emerge as a leader, whether vocally or just by work?
Yeah, there's been a few. I think this group, I feel like they like each other, and you watch them go out there and work together, and they enjoy the work. They're not shying away from it. Connor Norby has been great. He's been vocal, whether that be some of the teammates in a drill setting, and also with staff, which is very helpful to provide feedback for us to help. I think Otto Lopez for me, this guy he's a terrific person. He seems like he just kind of keeps his head down, and works, and he's a real grinder, but he cares about the right things. He's a great teammate. I think sometimes maybe you don't hear it as much vocally, but he's always there. He's a terrific support system for a lot of his teammates, and I think Nick Fortes for me is taking some real steps. Yeah, the catcher position, in some ways the expectation is that, and I think Nick is growing into a real leadership role, and he's playing his butt off behind the plate. And I think how he swung the bat yesterday, he's feeling great about where he's at. So feel really good about how Nick is wanting to take on more of a leadership role, and I think he's maybe at that point where now a little more comfortable in his own skin, and now those opportunities there, and we'll be counting on it.
I'm going to be the Debbie Downer and pivot right now.
We going negative?
We're going negative
All
here. Right. I'm sorry, but we haven't talked to you since Jesus Sanchez went down with the oblique issue. How is Jesus doing at this point?
All right, disappointing. Especially for it to happen when it's seemingly you get some plate appearances in, right, and the initial timing and all, and then you start to kind of see it trending in the way you want it to go. He's elevating some balls to the pull side. He's barreling a lot of balls. So I think he's more disappointed that the timing of this, and now that the inability to be able to start the season and help us win games. But I think he's also never had this happen before. Yeah. It's a new thing. So we told him we just got to be smart about this, and it takes the time that it takes. And I think you don't want to put an artificial timetable on there. You make sure this thing heals up, and we'll have a lot of season left. Once he's back in there.
I'm totally a baseball nerd when it comes to reading about the issues in Major League Baseball. And I remember 2021, there were tons of articles being written about the soft tissue, kind of tick up, the injury tick up after that 60-game season in 2020. And then the oblique issues start to come about. Oblique issues, you talk to somebody who was watching the game in the 80s and 90s, those did not exist. Why do you feel like, obliques and things like that, those soft tissue injuries are, I don't know, so apparent in our game right now?
Yeah, I don't know if you have such – the guys are so physical now that they're moving so fast, and there's such an emphasis on speed and, how quickly, you can torque that, is that the reason for it? I'm not exactly sure. I think, everyone would love to have an answer like on those oblique. They seem to and they're just the problem. They're just so nagging. What seemingly doesn't appear to be that significant, maybe in the moment though, and just seem like they can stretch out and really linger because it's always on. Every time you're breathing, every time you're moving, it's not like you break your arm and you cast it and let it heal. This is something that is just kind of always on. So I think they just become a nagging type deal that time is really the only thing that helps it.
I got one negative too, if you don't mind. The base running getting caught on pickoffs. What was the thing you mentioned, Jack? The
vault lead.
Vault lead. Go ahead.
No, I'm just curious about it because I know that's been, again, a ton of articles written about it last year, and Mike Roberts is, Brian Roberts' dad, kind of the godfather of the vault lead, and, I read some features on Volpe and all that, and obviously it was resulting in a very high efficiency for him, but it's such a delicate timing situation. As we get closer to opening day, obviously it gives you an insane competitive advantage if you get the timing down right. Where do you feel like the timing is with the team as a collective on the vault lead?
Work in progress. I think we knew this going in, that this is not something that is for most picked up very quickly, and it does. It just some practice reps, some just understanding of your lead size is an important part of this. How high you get off the ground when you move, so you still have to be in a position to be able to get back if the timing doesn't catch. And we have seen some pickoffs in this camp with that, and I think we've also encouraged them to continue doing it, and that it is going to be some like most things. Some will probably pick it up a little bit quicker, and be able to utilize it more, and then others, we're not wanting them to shy away from this continuing to potentially be a part of their package, and that time to really be able to grasp it. My understanding is it takes a number of reps, and we're going to see the season's going to start, and now these outs become real, and now I think with some other things we'll have to continue to push it and find times earlier in the day for those that potentially are going to utilize this to be able to continue to kind of to work on it some. And there's going to be some guys that get picked off during the season with this, and hope down the road the trade-off of that maybe early pain is worth the payoff.
I really have to give you guys credit, though, as a staff, because you guys were open about we're going to try new things, and starting from day one of spring training, we're going live, and we don't care what you think. And you're doing these different things off the bases. I got to give you guys have said that you guys are going to do these things. You're going to go through ups and downs, but the most important thing is you're not going to stop doing them.
Right. No, we can't. We believe in these things are going to have tremendous impact on our players now and in the long term. And yes, there'll be some sting of, what appears to be, ugliness,
sure.
or wow, how can this continue to happen? But look at those. A month from now, 6 months from now, a year, those pains will be forgotten, right?
Yeah.
But it's if we believe in it, continuing to push it, and look, we'll always stay ready to pivot, on the timing of things, and but we feel like that what we've tried to implement this early on, in camp, it wasn't always going to be smooth and easy. There was going to be pushback in some way,
right.
form or other. It wasn't going to always work out beautifully. But we'll just, stay convicted in that, continue to explain our reasoning behind why we're doing these things, and we just march forward.
I got two more, and whatever you got left, you ask. Augustin Ramirez, is his bat MLB ready?
Yeah, I mean, the quality, how hard this guy hits the ball is
real.
I think, and it's been real. What's been really impressive is like how he stood in there and like taking at bats. I mean, when he gets a swing off, like you know, everyone's kind of like, wow. And that he's getting the ball off the ground on the pull side with much more regularity, which I think shows like the path is improving some. You know, probably and a lot of young hitters, we've seen guys that are good hitters, is the pull side power is kind of the last thing to come. Like, you know, be a good hitter first, which he's shown that. Like he looks over the ball well. He's certainly not afraid, and now you're starting to see him, you know, take some of those hard contact balls, and you just change the ball flight some. You change the launch angle some, and it goes from a single and out now into when he hits a ball in the air at a proper angle, you know, like what he did yesterday. So the bat is, feel like it's in a really good spot, and it's, you know, it's close.
What you got?
No, what you got?
Bullpen question, the 3,000th bullpen question you've been asked so far this spring, but I am curious because obviously, you know, you guys are going about a new way of thinking about pitcher usage, I think, and bullpen usage especially, and it is a really cookie-cutter traditional thing to say, okay, this guy gets the 7th, and this guy gets the 8th, and then the closer gets the 9th. That's obviously not the route that you guys are going, but I'm curious about the build-up for a guy like Fauché, Tinoco, Bender, Cronin. Is it going to look like 1+ each time as we watch the last week of spring training so you know these guys can handle a high-leverage final out of the 7th and then go get a clean 8th?
Yeah, we'd like to give them that experience here towards the end of camp, their last, you know, couple outings or so. Either, you know, get a 1+ for those that you mentioned, you know, or like a back-to-back.
Sure.
Where they you know, they feel that, you know, that type of stress, because those are things that, you know, at least we want to have them prepared to be able to do. And yeah, there'll be some nights where maybe it runs out 1-1-1, you know, and other nights where, hey, it's going to be great to be able to have a Jesus Tinoco come in the 6th inning and pick up a big out in the 6th and have the ability to go back out and, you know, potentially pitch the 7th and pass it on. So when it was like, you know, getting some appearances under their belt, building up some stamina with the pitch count, and then, you know, okay, now adding in some of these 1+ or some of these back-to-backs here right at the end so that they are prepared as best they can to take on whatever may be asked.
Gotcha.
Last one for me. We have talked about it, March 27th, skiing Sandy. But for you, have you thought about the moment where, and it's one of the coolest traditions, I think, in sports, having the player intros from the PA. Have you thought about that moment of, here's your Marlins manager, Clayton McCullough, and you're running out there and the fans and just kind of being like, oh, my God, this is real. I'm here, and here we go. Have you thought about that?
Well, I'm thinking about it now, Steven, since
right.
you brought
Give
it
me a
up.
chill.
Yeah,
Give me chills
yeah.
here.
So it is. Having, you know, fortunate to like been through 4 opening days, and like it is a special day.
Yeah.
This one will be a little different now, as you said. You know, running out there in a new position, being at home will be great. So I think I'll probably put a little bit more thought or, you know, as we get closer. But yeah, has it crossed my mind some? For sure, because those are. It's only going to happen one time. You know, it'll be a one-time thing. And I remember when Dave Roberts. This was 2016. His first year there, and like at the end of spring training, I was telling, you know, enjoy that flyover and enjoy the, you know, because it's only gonna happen one time. So I got to remind myself to, you know, tell myself that here for this one.
Because you guys are in it every single second of the day. Like you really don't have a chance to pick up your head and be like, oh my God, like I'm less than a 1%er. I am. This is, if you redo my life 100 times, I don't know if I get to this point. You know, so it's so important to have those moments.
For sure.
My thought.
You got to make sure you get the haircut and the clean shave too.
Did you get a haircut? It looks like you got.
I got a haircut the other
Okay.
day. Yeah,
I can't
our
see
man
it, but-
Juice down in Miami, he was up here and he hooked me up. Did a great job.
Juice gave you a
Yeah,
haircut.
Juice tightened me up.
I like
Juice
that.
hit him with the haircuts.
I like that.
Have you thought about handshake or knuckle bump when it comes to the players opening day?
Probably like a little bit of a hug, because I think we're going to have
I
Sure.
like that.
we're going to have a
I like
number
that.
this is their first opening day roster.
Nice.
Opening
nice.
day, like this is a big deal, and on a lot of fronts.
I always love option C. I always love when there's something else.
Okay, Clayton, thank you so much. We went over time. We have one more episode with you. You need to bring some questions for us, okay? Bring some broadcasting questions for us, and we'll kind of go back and forth. We're so excited for the season. We really appreciate the time. And March 27th, Marlins Pirates, skiing Sandy. Thanks for listening.